This is SoulCharge, the podcast for women leaders to take the highest level of ownership of their power to create results now. I'm your host, Stacy B. Let's dive in. In this 4-part series, we are going to talk about the mystical meeting the practical and why it is seriously your competitive edge in 2025 to bring these two worlds together. On this episode today, we're diving into part 1, and it is truly the thing that you have been missing. So let's talk about first the mystical and the practical. When I talk about the mystical and the practical and the importance of both, really what I'm saying is we must bring these two worlds together. Especially as women leaders, we've operated for so long leaning on the practical application of things. And in the pursuit of building our lives and our businesses, we have let a critical piece out of the equation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. On today's episode, you are going to realize and connect to an aspect of yourself that you may have left behind. You're going to learn about why it's so important to start looking at this one thing as your superpower, not your Achilles heel, and how it truly is going to help you achieve your business and personal goals with ease in 2025. So let's dive in. After understanding the mystical and the practical and understanding where we've really gotten it wrong as women leaders, leaning more on the aspect of the practical, leaning into the mystical for a long time has felt woo-woo, has felt out there and not relatable because we've leaned so much on the practical aspect of things. But on today's episode, really leaning into your feelings so that your business and life feels as good as it looks on paper is really what we're going to dive into today. And so when I talk about feeling, it's very easy to say, Stacy, why are we going into feelings? Feelings don't get results. I know that was my perspective for a long time in business. I was like, business isn't about feeling. Business is about creating an incredible product for clients, an incredible product or service for clients for a void in the market or a problem to solve. And you get rewarded based upon how big of a problem you solve in the marketplace. Feelings are not a part of that equation. And so what happened for me, and it's likely happening for you, is we build our lives and our businesses based upon those results, those achievements, those milestones, which is absolutely a part of the equation. But our feelings is the other aspect of the equation and what is truly up for you to claim, especially going into 2025. So let's talk about feelings for a moment. So often, one of the reasons why we shelf our feelings or put our feelings aside is because that is what we've been rewarded for, we've been told to do, or we have been encouraged. I'm going to say that right. We've been encouraged to put them to the side and override our body and our feelings. The reason that that cannot come with us in 2025 is because it's a critical part and truly the most important part. Secondary is the practical, but your feelings are the most important part in the equation. And the reason that they're so important is because if you can prioritize and align with your feelings, really start to connect to those feelings, really start to understand those feelings, what happens is what's really going on is you're connecting to your true desires. Feelings and your desires go hand in hand. I think feelings for so long have gotten a bad rap because we're looking at it from this perspective of their emotions. They are emotions, and emotions are passing by like a driving or passing car, and in their information, not necessarily real. They're a reaction or a trigger based on our conditioning. And so we can't lean into them so much. But what I want to encourage you to start doing from this episode is start to look at your feelings as going hand in hand with your desires or what you want. Because if you start to look at how you feel, what you can find is most often your feelings and feeling good is aligned with what you want. And where we can get off track is not connecting to what we want, not giving ourselves permission to want those things, which of course affects our feelings. And so start to look at those two going hand in hand versus your feelings just kind of blowing like a tumbleweed does in the wind and being random, but really starting to look at your feelings with respect, with devotion, with an outlook that really matters, and really looking at them more so as a way to check yourself, as a way to say, this feels off. Let me investigate it more. And so starting to give your feelings credibility versus looking at them like they are that tumbleweed is such a powerful thing to do. Now, let's talk about that for a moment because I have an episode on how we can get addicted to our emotions. That is the extreme, right? Really using every emotion as reality isn't a proper application either. And so the purpose of this episode is to really go, the way that I feel about my business may be different now than it was 5 years ago. And there's a reason why I feel blocked or I feel unfulfilled or the drive in me is different than it was 5 years ago. And it feels different than it used to. And if that is you, you are in the right place because you're not wrong. It isn't bad that you feel different about your business or your life. It's an invitation to open the door to your next level. But we have to start honoring the feelings and using it more so as a clue on the treasure map, as a clue to the next step versus making yourself wrong. And I think that's the major distinction that I want you to make. It's not about looking at your emotions as the end all be all truth, but it's more about seeing that the way that you feel matters and investigating that gives yourself permission to lean into that feeling versus overriding it. And that's what we've gotten so great at as women leaders is we feel a certain way, but it's not convenient, it's not the right time. And so we override it or put it on the shelf. And you have to lean into those feelings, especially going into this year. This year is so much about the practical and the mystical coming into harmony and really leveraging both. And that's what this episode is encouraging you to do is looking more so at your feelings as your superpower versus an inconvenient visitor that came at the wrong time. If something about your life or business is not feeling the way that it used to, the invitation and encouragement that I want to give to you is look into the feeling and ask yourself, is it because what I want has shifted? As women, one of the things that we're so great at is this level of commitment and loyalty to what we've said we're going to do. We're very principle based, and right or wrong is a big deal, right? It's like if I gave you my word, I am going to follow through, no matter if that means I sacrifice myself and my health and my well being in the process, I am going to deliver. And sometimes that belief system and conditioning gets in the way of how we're feeling. And so even if we try to pause and take space to investigate the feeling, it's still so foreign because the commitment is overriding the feeling. And so that first encouragement I want to give you is look into the feeling. If something is not vibing like it used to, look into, has your desire shifted? Has your desire shifted? And can you give yourself permission to investigate what has shifted for you? A lot of times it's easy to not have the time, not give yourself the space to lean into that. But if you can lean into it, the simple act of giving yourself permission to feel the way you want to feel is a huge act of self love that you can give yourself without spending any money, without taking that much time away from work, family, or what you have going on, is simply the act of giving yourself permission to look into and get curious about how you're feeling. That simple act can help you regain a deeper level of connection with yourself that likely has been put on the shelf for some time because you've been so good at overriding your feelings. Just the simple act of permission allows this connection with yourself, and it doesn't have to go outside of your journal. It doesn't have to be a public service announcement. It can simply be leaning into, how do I feel? The source of your rebirth, the source of your next level, the source of what is next for you, your next evolution, is absolutely on the other side of you leaning into how you feel and giving yourself permission to feel, want, and desire, and also trust yourself to make that happen for yourself. There can be so much pressure and responsibility over time that compounds in the commitments and visions that we create as leaders. And it can feel like there's no way out or you're stuck. And the simple act of giving yourself permission allows you to regain your footing and to regain the truth, which is you're not stuck and you have the ability to shift and evolve at any time. And sometimes it's not even about shifting and evolving, it's about reconnecting to you. When we talk about feelings here, what we're talking about is you have to bring all of yourself to the table in 2025. It is no longer okay for you to move through the world, seize success, and leave yourself out of the equation. We've done it for centuries and it's not applicable anymore. It simply doesn't work. If you even try to do it, it's like the universe has a hell no stop sign, especially for us as women leaders in the process. And so I can't emphasize enough the simple act of permission, the simple act of saying, I am going to gift myself the permission to feel how I feel and to not make it wrong and to not judge myself and to allow myself to understand, where is that coming from? The reason that that is so important is because the way that you feel, and not just like putting on the happy face and going into the day because you have to and you're committed and you have appointments, but actually connecting to how you feel and harnessing that feeling ties into truly one of my favorite tools of universal law and one of the incredible tools available to you, which is the law of vibration. How you feel has a resonance, it has an energy. And by you checking yourself and giving yourself permission to feel how you want to feel, allows the feeling to progress. In other words, when I allow myself to feel what I want to feel or what's going on within me, give myself that permission, the feeling gets to move on. But when I don't allow myself to want what I want or to feel how I feel, what happens is that emotion and feeling gets stuck. And what happens is everything over time in life starts to feel stuck. And so the way to let the emotion get unstuck and move on is to, like I said earlier, give yourself that permission to feel, because you have this powerful tool available to you, which is the law of vibration. And it's something that can totally work against you, but it's also your freedom. It is also a huge tool to create on purpose. The law of vibration is all about feeling good, right? Feeling the way that you want to feel. And the best way to describe this is if you were pursuing a goal, a dream, an outcome, if you can harness how that would feel once you achieve that in advance, that's harnessing the law of vibration. What it's saying is stop making the thing a contingency of feeling good. You have the opportunity to feel good now, and harnessing that, which I'm calling in this 4-part series, the mystical. Like the mystical is the inner world, really. It's not some far off thing. It's not some woo woo idea. It is tuning in to who you be. It is tuning into the real you, the you that feels this, that, or the other, and honors that feeling and doesn't make it wrong. It allows you in your incredible internal state and energy to be activated in such a way that aligns with the practical application of decision making and action and all of the things that are the practical side of the external world. And so your conscious awareness of how you feel and how you feel in advance of the thing that you're trying to achieve, like actually feeling that now is an incredible superpower. And what you start to undo by utilizing this incredible law is you start to end the paradigm of conditionality. What you start to end is I am enough if I do this. I am successful if I have X. I am contingent, my incredible self and power and results. All of that comes with a feeling. And what we do is we constantly make feeling good or positive feelings conditional or contingent upon external results. And going into the way you feel and consciously tilling this, curating, connecting to your feelings on a day-to-day basis allows you to harness your superpower, which is calling in things in advance because you feel great now. Are you a woman leader that is looking for more fulfillment, freedom, and purpose? Are you a successful woman leader that has created massive external success, but feel that there is this next level of what you're supposed to do? If either of those describe you, join us for SoulCharge's pop-up event, a live 2-hour event called Liberation. It's hosted the last week of every month at our headquarters in Boise. It's a 2-hour event that will be more valuable than the last event that you paid for, and it is free. We're going to dive into a powerful framework that will leave you with a fresh perspective, a clear path forward, and the conviction that you've been missing. Click the link in the podcast show notes for more information and how to register. We look forward to seeing you there. If you have watched people that you love and admire change overnight, or what it seems to be overnight, or you see them achieve things quickly, a lot of times it's called a quantum leap. They're quantum leaping left and right. It comes down to this very powerful tool. They are using the law of vibration, and they're using it strategically. And so as much as your 2025 business strategy is an external game, your internal game is absolutely a strategy too. And that's the two worlds that I want to collide for you, is starting to see that activating feeling good and being conscious of how you feel every day is a tool that, when activated, when strategically used, can help you achieve what you want faster. And it's not so much even about it being faster as much as it is achieving it while feeling fulfilled. Because that, for me in my early career, was what was missing, and is what is missing for you too, is that the things you're chasing, you get there and you feel empty. You get there and you feel disappointed and you're on to the next thing, or you get there and you feel fine, but you don't stop to celebrate and you go on to the next thing. And so checking yourself and really investigating how you feel allows you to achieve and be aligned. It allows you to achieve and be conscious of how you're feeling along the way, because that's the part that's so easily forgotten about. And so let's talk about for a moment what happens when you don't feel good. What happens when the feelings are off, or you get triggered throughout the day, or you have a meeting that doesn't go the way that you want it. The work is to connect to how you feel. So even if that is less than positive in that moment, but letting yourself feel that. And there's different things that are out there, right? 90-second rule, 10-second rule. There's all these different tools out there. I think that if you can honor that for 30 seconds or less, that allows you to feel seen and heard. And frankly, the little child and inner child in all of us that wanted to be parented a certain way that never was, right? And so if you're not feeling great, allowing yourself to be seen and heard by yourself for yourself, and then ask yourself, what is it that I want and how do I want to feel? And giving yourself a moment to reconnect and recultivate that feeling. And it doesn't matter if you have to do that 20 times in a day. I know it sounds like a lot of work and it's like, how could I even fit this in my calendar? As you practice, it gets easier. It gets more instantaneous. It gets more in a system almost, right? Like this is your system to activate your internal state and the mystical aspects that are you. Because when the mystical meets the practical, magic happens. Worlds change. Huge dreams come to life. The impossible is made possible. One of the major things I want you to take away from today's episode is when you honor the different aspects of yourself, the mystical and the practical, those worlds can come together and your fulfillment and freedom can coexist. They can create side by side. So I want to take the conversation around feeling one step further because it's so easy and there's a lot of talk and noise out in the marketplace around your vibration and how you feel and associating that with quick goals or short-term goals. There's a bigger picture at play that I want to direct your attention to, which is this idea of using how you feel and tools like the law of vibration to use beyond the short-term goals and to use it more about you being the creator of everything in your life, because that's the truth. The truth is, if you are willing to take responsibility for the fact that you are the creator of the good, the bad, the ugly, and you're willing to take responsibility for the fact that you as the creator have the option to see yourself in source's image, in God's image, whatever it is that you believe in, you start to play a different game. It starts to become less about the material things and more about the feeling you're cultivating within yourself. It becomes more about the feeling of seeing yourself, your perspective of yourself, that you are so powerful, so incredible, so worthy, and so whole and complete. It's not even funny. But if you can start seeing yourself, what happens is those short-term goals become, but of course, they become certain, right? Because it's not so much of that short-term win that you're looking at, but the fact that you've already won. You've already won because you are the creator. And if you start subscribing to that belief, things get really fun really quickly. but it is an immense amount of responsibility. And some of you may still be in the phase of, I just want to get to this next goal. Like that's all my nervous system can handle right now is I just need a win. I just need to see things working and moving forward. If that's you, that's great. But know that if you can also work on how you see yourself, how you see your feelings as valid and important, and you recognize the incredible power that is you're going to see those short-term goals that are high priority for you unfold at a more rapid rate. And so your feelings and really honoring the aspects of yourself that are so important in that way is going to help all of this unfold a lot quicker. So to wrap up today's episode, focus on your feelings. Because if you focus on how you feel and you use this as leverage, if you use this as your internal strategy, what starts to happen is you activate the law of vibration. And the law of vibration is such an incredible and powerful tool that absolutely relies on how you feel and how you feel about yourself. And so the invitation is to start looking at your feelings, not only as that they matter, but that they can be one of your biggest strategic anchors and points of leverage in 2025. That bringing in what I'm calling the mystical side, right? The feelings into your business isn't so much that the business is based on how you feel, because we can change feelings multiple times, right, in a day, but more that you are taking care of that aspect of yourself so that you can bring your best feeling self to what you want to create. So pair the magic. Let the two worlds collide of the mystical and the practical and see how bringing feelings back into the equation can help you really build a life that feels as good, a life that feels as good, a business that feels as good as it looks on paper, as the world sees that internally you can feel just as fabulous as everyone sees wonderful you. Are you loving SoulCharge? If so, hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and share an episode. We want to bring powerful content to women leaders each week so that women can be unleashed to create the results that they want now. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.